The year is 146 BC. The air above Carthage is thick with ash, and the screams of 500,000 souls echo off walls that have stood for 700 years. Roman legionaries, their sandals sticky with blood, hack through streets where Phoenician merchants once traded purple dye and ivory from the heart of Africa. Somewhere in the Inferno, a library burns, scrolls of navigation, astronomy, and agricultural science that the world will never see again. This is not just a city dying. This is an entire civilization being erased from history. And the men who ordered its destruction knew exactly what they were burying. What they buried is what we are about to uncover. Before Rome was anything more than a collection of mud brick huts on the Tiber, Carthage was already ancient. Founded around 814 BC by Phoenician settlers from Tyre, led, according to legend, by the exiled Queen Dido. The city rose on a peninsula jutting into the Gulf of Tunis like a clenched fist thrust into the Mediterranean. By the 3rd century BC, Carthage commanded an empire that would make most modern nations envious. Adrian Goldsworthy describes it as the undisputed commercial superpower of the ancient world. Its population approached 700,000, making it one of the largest cities on Earth. Its double harbor, the Cannae, was an engineering marvel, a rectangular commercial port connected to a circular military harbor that could shelter 220 warships simultaneously. Imagine standing on the harbor wall and watching those warships glide in formation, their bronze rams catching the Mediterranean sun, each vessel crewed by experienced Phoenician sailors who had mapped coastlines from Britain to West Africa. The wealth was staggering. Carthaginian traders controlled the tin routes from Cornwall, the gold caravans crossing the Sahara, the silver mines of Spain, and the fertile grain fields of North Africa. They had established trading posts from the Atlantic coast of Morocco to the shores of Sicily. Their purple dye, extracted drop by painstaking drop from murex sea snails, was worth more than its weight in gold, and it clothed the elite of every Mediterranean civilization. But Carthage was more than commerce. The city's walls stretched for 23 miles, rising to 45 feet in places, with stables for 300 elephants and 4,000 horses built directly into their massive foundations. The Bursa citadel, crowning the highest hill, housed temples to Tanit and Baal-Hamon that rivaled anything in the Greek world. Below it, a grid of 6-story apartment buildings, among the tallest in antiquity, lined streets paved with limestone. This was no barbarian outpost. This was a civilization that had perfected crop rotation centuries before Europe discovered it, that had written agricultural manuals so advanced the Roman Senate would later order them translated into Latin, the only Carthaginian texts they bothered to preserve. Mago's agricultural treatise, 28 volumes of accumulated wisdom on viticulture, animal husbandry, and soil management, became the Bible of Roman farming for generations. The trouble began with Sicily. That triangular island sitting between Italy and North Africa was the pressure point where two expanding spheres of influence could not help but collide. In 264 BC, a dispute over the city of Messana, modern Messina, ignited a war that neither side fully understood would reshape the world. The First Punic War lasted 23 brutal years. Rome, a land power with virtually no naval tradition, did something that military historians still marvel at. They built an entire fleet from scratch. According to Polybius, they captured a beached Carthaginian quinquereme and reverse-engineered it, training 30,000 rowers on wooden frames built on dry land while the ships were still under construction. Then they added a Roman innovation, the corvus, a boarding bridge with an iron spike that turned naval battles into the infantry engagements Romans understood. It was desperate, clumsy, and it worked. Rome lost fleet after fleet to storms. Nearly 100,000 sailors drowned in a single decade, but they kept building more ships. Carthage, despite its naval superiority, could not comprehend an enemy willing to absorb catastrophic losses and simply refused to stop. By 241 BC, exhausted and bankrupted, Carthage sued for peace. They surrendered Sicily and paid an indemnity of 3,200 talents of silver. But the real wound was invisible. The war had created a generation of Carthaginian officers who seethed with humiliation. Chief among them was Hamilcar Barca, a general who had fought Rome to a standstill in Sicily and was then ordered to surrender by politicians he despised. Hamilcar made his young son swear an oath at the altar of Baal, an oath of eternal enmity against Rome. That boy was 9 years old. His name was Hannibal. While Rome seized Sardinia and Corsica in a naked act of opportunism during Carthage's mercenary revolt, Hamilcar took his son to Spain and carved out a new empire. Silver from the mines near Cartagena, New Carthage, funded the reconstruction of Carthaginian military power. When Hamilcar died in battle in 229 BC, his son-in-law Hasdrubal continued the work. And when Hasdrubal was assassinated in 221 BC, the army acclaimed the 26-year-old Hannibal as their commander. Rome had no idea what was coming. In the spring of 218 BC, Hannibal did something that no military strategist thought possible. He marched an army of 50,000 infantry, 9,000 cavalry, and 37 war elephants out of Spain, across southern Gaul, and over the Alps, in late autumn, when the passes were choked with early snow. Richard Miles captures the audacity of this moment. It was not simply a military maneuver, but a psychological weapon. Rome expected to fight Carthage in Spain and Africa. Instead, Hannibal materialized in the Po Valley like a vengeful ghost, descending from mountains that Romans believed were impassable. He lost nearly half his army in the crossing, men frozen on ledges, elephants sliding into ravines, entire columns buried by avalanches, and it did not matter. The sheer impossibility of what he had done paralyzed Roman strategic thinking. What followed was the most devastating series of defeats any major power had ever suffered. At the Trebia River in December 218, Hannibal lured a Roman army into a freezing river crossing and destroyed it. At Lake Trasimene in June 217, he executed the largest ambush in military history. 15,000 Romans killed in 3 hours, trapped between the lake and the hills in morning fog so thick they never saw the attack coming. Then came Cannae, August 2nd, 216 BC, a date that still echoes through every military academy on Earth. On a flat plain near the Aufidus River in southern Italy, Hannibal faced a Roman army of 86,000 men, the largest force Rome had ever assembled. He had 50,000. The Romans expected to steamroll him with sheer mass. Instead, Hannibal let his center bow inward under the Roman advance, then closed his cavalry and African infantry around both flanks like a closing fist. In a single afternoon, between 50,000 and 70,000 Roman soldiers were killed. Polybius tells us the ground was so thick with bodies that survivors crawled over the dead to escape. Rome lost a quarter of its Senate that day. 1 in 5 adult Roman males of military age was dead. Any other state in the ancient world would have surrendered. Hannibal expected them to. He sent an envoy with generous peace terms. The Roman Senate refused to even receive him. They refused to ransom their own captured soldiers. They refused, simply and absolutely, to acknowledge defeat. It is one of the most extraordinary acts of collective will in human history, and it would doom Carthage. Rome's response to Cannae was not revenge. It was patience, the most dangerous weapon in their arsenal. They appointed Quintus Fabius Maximus, whose strategy of avoiding pitched battle and slowly grinding Hannibal down earned him the nickname Cunctator, the delayer. For 13 years, Hannibal roamed Italy, winning battle after battle, but never receiving the reinforcements or siege equipment he needed to take Rome itself. Meanwhile, a young Roman general named Publius Cornelius Scipio was studying Hannibal's tactics with the intensity of a scholar deciphering a sacred text. Scipio had survived Cannae as a teenager. He had watched his father and uncle die fighting Carthaginians in Spain. In 210 BC, at the age of 25, he was given command of Roman forces in Iberia. Within 4 years, he had driven the Carthaginians out of Spain entirely, using Hannibal's own encirclement tactics against his generals. In 204 BC, Scipio did what Rome had been too afraid to attempt for 14 years. He invaded Africa. He landed near Utica with 25,000 men and began burning his way toward Carthage. The Carthaginian Senate panicked and recalled Hannibal from Italy, the first admission that their greatest weapon had failed. The two met at Zama in October 202 BC. Hannibal, for the first time in his career, faced an opponent who understood him. Scipio neutralized the war elephants by opening lanes in his formation and letting them charge through harmlessly. His Numidian cavalry allies swept the Carthaginian horsemen from the field, then wheeled back to strike Hannibal's rear, exactly the maneuver Hannibal had used at Cannae. The student had become the master. Carthage surrendered. They paid 10,000 talents of silver, surrendered their fleet except 10 ships, and promised never to wage war without Roman permission. Hannibal himself became a fugitive, fleeing to the courts of Eastern kings before finally taking poison in 183 BC rather than be handed over to Rome. His last words, according to Livy, "Let us free Rome from her long anxiety, since she thinks it too long to wait for an old man's death." For 50 years after Zama, Carthage did everything Rome demanded. They paid their indemnity early. They provided grain and troops for Roman wars. They asked Roman permission before defending themselves against Numidian raids on their territory. And still it was not enough. Cato the Elder, one of Rome's most powerful senators, ended every speech, regardless of the topic, with the same 5 words: Carthago delenda est, Carthage must be destroyed. Not because Carthage was a threat. By 150 BC, Carthage had no army and no fleet. It was a merchant city, rich but defenseless. That was precisely why Cato wanted it destroyed. Its wealth was the threat. Its resilience was the offense. The very fact that Carthage could recover, could prosper even under Roman domination, was an intolerable reminder that Rome's supremacy was not inevitable. In 149 BC, Rome manufactured a pretext and declared war. The Third Punic War was not a war. It was a siege and a slow-motion execution. For 3 years, the Carthaginians defended their city with a ferocity that stunned even the Romans. Women cut their hair to braid into bowstrings. Citizens melted temple ornaments for weapons. When the Romans finally breached the walls in the spring of 146 BC, the fighting continued street by street, house by house, for 6 days. Appian records that Roman soldiers advanced over the bodies of the dead, some still alive, crushed beneath the rubble, pushed into the streets to clear a path for advancing troops. When it was over, the survivors, perhaps 50,000 from a city of hundreds of thousands, were sold into slavery. The city was burned for 17 days. The site was cursed. And here is the detail that matters. Rome ordered every Carthaginian text, every scroll, every record destroyed. 700 years of accumulated knowledge, navigation charts, astronomical observations, medical texts, the agricultural manuals of Mago, all of it fed to the flames. They did not merely want Carthage dead, they wanted it forgotten. Here is what the Roman historians never admitted, the confession buried beneath centuries of triumphal arches and self-congratulatory literature. Rome did not destroy Carthage because Carthage was dangerous. Rome destroyed Carthage because Carthage offered an alternative. Carthage proved that a Mediterranean superpower could be built on commerce rather than conquest, on negotiation rather than subjugation. Its political system, while imperfect, gave merchants and citizens a voice that Roman plebeians could only dream of. Its religious pluralism tolerated the gods of every trading partner. Its multicultural population, Phoenician, Libyan, Iberian, Greek, cooperated in ways that Rome's rigid social hierarchy could not replicate. This was the real threat, not Hannibal's elephants or Carthaginian warships. The threat was the idea that civilization did not require Rome. That power could be built on something other than the sword. That trade, tolerance, and technical innovation could be more durable foundations than legions and law. Rome's destruction of Carthage was not the triumph of civilization over barbarism, as Roman propagandists claimed. It was the triumph of one model of civilization over another, and the deliberate erasure of the evidence that any alternative had ever existed. The burning of those libraries was not collateral damage. It was the point. We know more about the daily lives of ancient Egyptians than we do about the Carthaginians, despite Carthage being 1,000 years younger. That silence is not an accident. It is the oldest cover-up in Western history. Stand again on that harbor wall in Tunis, where the Khathan once sheltered 200 warships. There is now a shallow lagoon surrounded by apartment buildings. Tourists walk over ground salted by an empire that feared what this city represented. Somewhere beneath their feet, in layers of ash and rubble, lie the fragments of scrolls that could have changed the trajectory of Western knowledge. Rome won the war. Rome wrote the history. But the silence where Carthage's voice should be, that silence is the loudest confession of all.